There we go. Good morning. Good morning and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. My name is Jay Tiefenbrunn. My pronouns are she, hers, hers, her, hers, and I'm very pleased to be your director of music ministries. Welcome to our online worship. You can find all of the information that you need for our worship this morning at our With You worship portal on our website, firstuunash.org. Our collaborative pianist this morning is Hollingsmith-Bourne, who will be accompanying me via pre-recordings in the sanctuary this morning. Our opening song is a parody of Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, written by UU music director Eric Lane Barnes, who gave us permission to use it this morning for our worship on our theme of play. I'd like to invite you to join me in singing. Prepare your bodies, get ready to dance around your living room with Log On, Rejoice, and Zoom In. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. Today will be a joyful day. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Keep on washing your hands. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. We can love from 6 feet away. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out. Today will be a joyful day. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. No need to feel you're alone. No need to feel you're alone. Today will be a joyful day. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. Today will be a joyful day. Log on, rejoice, and zoom in. I'd like to invite you to connect to your heart center and connect with all of those who are worshiping with us this morning, greeting your neighbors through the magic of the internet.
The words of our childless lighting this morning come from George Kimshire Branch. In the mystery of life about us, there is light. It gives us a place to be, to grow, to rejoice together. It opens the paths to love. In this place of friendship, there is freedom. The light that we kindle before us, strong in hope, wide in goodwill, inviting the day to come.
I'd like to invite you to join your hearts and minds in the spirit of worship with these words by Susan McGinn. Sometimes you can open your eyes and find that everything is new. Like you moved to a new town, don't know where your grocery store is, don't even know what lies at the end of your own street. You can open your eyes and everything is new, like a shock, like the call that delivers the message, the headlights that enlarge and brighten in slow motion, the phrase that can never be retracted, tumbling out, the truth the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. The newness of the world can also happen like an invitation, planned, earned, calculated. Mass plus speed equals force. And with outstretched arms, you have imagined this new world, sung, prayed, and drawn it into reality. Sometimes you can blink away the new world, closing your eyes, catching familiar dark waves, seeing nothing but your silhouetted womb world, hearing nothing but those sweet old spoonfuls of faith. Welcome. Let us worship together. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Hey, now, you wrecked my drawing. I was coloring. What's wrong with you? Well, you're just so mean to me. Wait, kitty, monkey. Let's all take a deep breath. Thank you. You want to play a game with me? Okay, let's just try. It's an imagination game. I want you each to imagine the worst thing you could do to the other. So, kitty, I want you to imagine the worst thing you could do to monkey. Monkey, I want you to imagine the worst thing you could do to kitty. Now, you don't have to tell me. This is all private. I can't tell what you're imagining. I can't tell what you're feeling. That's all inside you. But have you imagined something? Yeah. Oh, yes, I have. Well, you don't have to tell me, but would you like to tell me? Well, I imagined that I would put Monkey in a spaceship, and I would send Monkey up into outer space, and he would go higher and higher, so far away he would never come back. Oh, you have quite an imagination. What about you, Monkey? Well, I imagine that I would take all of Kitty's markers and throw them all over the house, and then I would take her drawing like this, and I would smush it up. And no, we're just imagining. Okay, and I would rip it into 1,000,000 pieces. Oh, okay, good. That's imagination. Okay, now we're going to take another deep breath. And we're going to imagine the nicest thing you could do to each other. So Kitty, imagine the nicest, kindest thing that you could do for Monkey. Monkey, you imagine the nicest, kindest thing you could do for Kitty. Okay, can we all imagine together? Okay, Monkey, did you imagine something? Yes, I did. I imagined that I smoothed out the drawing, that I picked up all the markers, and I said, I'm sorry, Kitty. I'm sorry. Oh, what a nice imagination. Okay, what about you, Kitty? I imagined that, well, what I imagined was that I said, Monkey, are you lonely? Do you want to play with someone? Would you like to share with me? Oh, well, would either of you like to do any of those things? Because that's the next step. You get to pick what you're going to do. You could send Monkey up into outer space, or you could invite him to play. Or you could mush up and throw everything around, rip up the paper, or you could help Kitty pick them up. Oh, I would love to play with you, Kitty. Then I'll ask you, let's play together. Let's come. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you, Monkey. Thank you, everyone, for using your imagination. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Good morning. My name is Roddy Biggs. I'm a member of this congregation, a worship associate, the co-chair of the Social Justice Committee, and a lay minister. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to worship. If you are watching on WebinarJam, as you progress through this service, you will see a blue buttons on our With You worship portal for the offering, the joys and concerns. If you are watching a recording on YouTube, you will find our With You worship portal at our website, postuunash.org. In either place, when you click the hashtag With You worship portal button, you will find an order of service, copies of today's hymns, information about making offering, and submission for joys and concerns. Ordinarily, joys and concerns are not live streamed, but while we are only worshiping online, we will share joys and concerns if we have been given permission on the form to do so. Joys and concerns submitted after the middle of the live stream service will be shared with permission during next week's service, and all joys and concerns will be shared as usual with our lay ministers. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We are a welcoming congregation, and we deepen our relationship as we serve our congregation's mission to create community, to nurture spiritual growth, and to act on our values in the broader world, guided by reason and compassion. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us this morning. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you may find it here. All are welcome to attend our services, and people become members of this congregation by signing the membership book and by supporting the church with their time and finances. If you are considering joining the church, please contact your assistant minister of congregational engagement. Her email can be found in the worship or in the staff directory under Contact Us on our website. Her name is Reverend Denise Gouch. Following the service, we hope everyone will enjoy at least one of our online opportunities for fellowship. There are many announcements posted on our website, which I hope you'll read. I've been asked to highlight a few more. Our lead and assistant ministers are each offering open office hours over Zoom every week. You can drop in to visit with Gail on Wednesdays between noon and 1 p.m. or with Denise on Thursdays between 5 and 6 p.m. Find more information on our website or Facebook page. The 2020 Stewardship Campaign is drawing to a close. Over the next 2 weeks, the Stewardship Committee will be contacting members who have not yet pledged by email, phone, or text. Please respond when you hear from them. Or you can go ahead and go to our website using our online form or by emailing stewardship@thefund.org to make your pledge. Thank you for expressing your love for this church through the offerings of your financial time and support. For now, while we are meeting entirely online, there are no friendly ushers to pass you the offering bowl, but our fabulous finance and communications folks have made sure that everyone at any time can access our online donations form at firstunash.org. If you're watching on WebinarJam, you can use the offering button on your screen to go to that form. If you're watching on YouTube, you can access the form either from the homepage of our website via the offering section or on the With You Worship portal. If you would like to mail a check to the church, please write in the memo line how you would like your donations to be used. If you want it credited to your pledge, please write pledge. If you write Sunday offering, it will be shared between the church and our Share the Plate partners. You may know that every Sunday we share a portion of the offering collected with those who are doing work outside our walls that align with our values. Ordinarily, a part of the offering goes to our operating budget, while approximately 50% goes to our Share the Plate partner. However, we have found that our Share the Plate collections have been lower than usual during this time of meeting online for worship, and our community partners need our support now more than usual. So we have decided that 100% of donations from Sunday offerings will be shared with our designated partner for the month until we come back together in person. For April, our Share the Plate partner is NOAH, Nashville Organized for Action and Hope. Our congregation's annual budget includes part of our annual organization dues to NOAH, but the balance or our dues is raised through the remaining month's collection. In this season of virtual offering bows, we are especially grateful for the steady generosity which allows us to both widen our congregation and to continue working with our communities, nurturing spiritual growth and acting on our values. At this time, I would like to introduce Valerie Martin, who is going to share a moment of stewardship with you.
Good morning. My name is Valerie Martin, and I'm co-chair of Worship Committee and a member of Nominating Committee and Chamber Choir. I came to First UU Nashville as a transplant from Texas at the beginning of 2012. I knew no one here and decided church might be a good place to start. I had discovered Unitarian Universalism when my mom joined our tiny home congregation when I was in high school, though I hadn't made a connection with the UU churches where I lived in Austin for 8 years before moving here. My first few times visiting Fun, I came for the worship service and afterwards made a beeline to my car to assure no one would try to talk to me. Like many introverts, it just took me some time to warm up and get to know a few people. And before I knew it, I was a proud choir member and had joined a covenant group with my then boyfriend, Chris, a recovering Catholic whom I'd convinced to check out this weird UU thing with me. Though I've remained worship co-chair for 5 years, my attendance and involvement with Fun has admittedly ebbed and flowed. When I had a stewardship conversation a couple years ago with former board president Kim Hackett and shared that with her, I was relieved to hear that she had the same experience and didn't see any problem with it. Fun has become sort of a secure home base for Chris and me, even when we may not feel up to making the half-hour drive there every Sunday morning. We have significantly increased our pledge over the years, and even in times of lesser involvement have chosen never to decrease it because we believe in the mission of this congregation, the safe space it creates for folks of all different kinds, and the meaningful work it does within and outside our walls. It's always money we feel good about spending. Thank you for all your support of Fun. Every minute and dollar matters.
Thank you, Valerie. Now I'd like to invite everyone to take a deep breath, bring themselves more fully present to yourself, to the sacred space that you and the people you're with make around you, wherever you are. And as you bring yourself more present to this space and this moment in yourself, you may become more aware of those moments from the last weeks or days or hours that you bring here with you to this sacred moment of worship. And if any of those moments, joys, concerns, or sorrows, are moments that you would like to share with this gathered community, gathered through heart and soul and love, you're invited to do so. There is a button, says joys and concerns, that you may press and fill out the form. Please let us know if you would like us to share that joy or concern. And I will read them to everyone. Any joys and concerns that are put there, we will indeed share with our pastoral care team. We will be entering some moments of reflection with beautiful music by Holling, that Holling will play. And then we will share those joys and concerns. Our first response is a concern from Edie White. She says, this was right here a minute ago. For all our relations who are behind bars in jails and prisons, for those who work with them, we pray for their health and safety, as well as their spiritual development during this pandemic. Evelyn Cotton shares a concern with us. She says, I miss everyone so much. So very much. We miss you too, Evelyn. So does Kitty and Monkey. This is a joy from Iba and Tom Surface. Oh, it said a joy at first, but now it says it's a concern. Okay, this is a concern from Tom and Iba Surface. Sad to report the passing of Jean Schober Thursday night due to complications from COVID-19. Jean was our daughter's father-in-law. He was 75. Please keep the family of Maggie, Kevin, and Tommy Schober in your thoughts as they deal with this terrible loss from a distance. And we support you, Tom and Iba, and your family from a great distance. And we have now a concern to share with you. This is from, this is from Lois Wagner. Lois says, I grieve for my dear friend Leo, whose partner and husband of 40 years remains in critical condition in a hospital in Orlando. Leo may be facing some heart-wrenching decisions in the days to come. Because of the virus, he cannot be with him at this time. Lois, we hold you and your friends in our hearts. I invite you all to hold these joys and concerns in the spirit of prayer. This prayer was written by Leslie Takahashi. Spirit of life and love, all that we have ever loved and all that we have ever been stands with us on the brink of all we aspire to create. A deeper peace, a larger love, a more embracing hope, a deeper joy in this life that we share. Blessed be, and amen. At this time, I would like to read from an essay by Jonathan Walton, who is the Plummer Professor of Christian Morals at Harvard Divinity School. His essay is called When the Sun Moves. Professor Walton writes, many have employed the term the moral imagination, from Edmund Burke in the 19th century through John Dewey and T.S. Eliot, to more recently peace activists such as John Paul Lederach. Moral imagination often describes an awakened and creative consciousness, a consciousness that can create something out of nothing. Like a painter before a blank canvas, or a sculptor with a block of stone, moral imagination turns us into ethical artists. moral imagination turns us into ethical artists. Though economic and political factors may seem predetermined and limiting regarding our ability to act, moral imagination allows us to conceptualize opportunities beyond the apparent limits placed before us. Moral imagination is something we have, and it is something we enact. Exercising our moral imagination should never be divorced from a thorough understanding of our social world. There's a truism: vision without execution is hallucination. We can say the same about people of faith who have spiritual imaginations with social understanding. As my grandmother likes to say, there is no need to be heavenly minded if you are no earthly good. Furthermore, moral imagination is central to an ethic of love and justice. So ends my reading. But I'd like to reflect upon this reading. We all can be ethical artists, every single one of us. Now, Walton talks about an ethical artist from the past, a Reverend John Jasper, who was a slave in Virginia for the first 50 years of his life until the Civil War changed his world, rocked his world. He grew up being told that slavery was part of the natural order, and then all of a sudden, it was not anymore. And he preached a famous sermon that both Black and white Baptists heard over and over again: the sun do move. And he drew in that sermon from the moral imagination of the book of Joshua, a biblical book about people who had just become free and were fighting to keep that freedom. Okay? He drew on that moral imagination and then took it to the social realities of his day. Now, this is an awkward consciousness of bringing these two together. Awkward consciousness. So, who are some people who are ethical artists we know today? The late, great Mr. Fred Rogers is one of them. He drew from the same moral imagination you find throughout biblical texts to teach moral imagination to children. He took the elements of the day. I guess his very first episode, he had to talk to his puppets and the children about the assassination of another great ethical artist, Martin Luther King Jr. And he took that with into the land of make-believe, where he taught all of us the same thing that Professor Walton was trying to teach us at Harvard Divinity School, that you held that awkward consciousness together, you imagined. And then that was just the first step. After your imagination of the best and the worst that you could do, you make a choice and you do something. You act for love and justice. So we need moral imagination right now, don't we? I need you to be ethical artists. The world has changed. We need to watch how society is in radical change, no matter from what our vantage point during this pandemic. Whether you are making choices about being safer for everyone by being at home, or you're an essential worker and you're risking your health by going out, working at the grocery store or delivering food to people. Or you are in the medical field itself. And not only are you an essential worker trying to educate and keep us healthy, but you're also worried about having enough supplies, knowledge, equipment, and medication to keep everyone safe. Now, what I understand is that without moral imagination, we can get trapped in what's called moral injury. Moral imagination, entering a space of reflection, prayer, meditation, however you enter into that very serious land of make-believe. It allows us to imagine all our different responses to a world that we had never imagined before. And this helps us as strongly as a good contingency plan. A contingency plan that helps us say, well, if this happens, I could do this and this and this. Without that, we get reactive in situations we never planned, and we could possibly do things that, quite honestly, are so detached from our moral code that it injures us. We feel terribly guilty, regretful. We could be furious at those around us, that the authorities that did let us down and put us in that position, or at the situation itself. And that can be very dangerous for people, can really harm their souls. People have committed suicide because of this. So I invite you in this new world to take your burgeoning understanding of what's going on into awkward consciousness with that creative part of yourself, that ethical artist. Now, one of our members, who is a Unitarian minister and is working as a chaplain with social justice people, she colored. She used this coloring, she said, to get to that place of calm and peace, that meditative place, where she could take the social understanding of what's happening with our democracy, which clearly is worrying many people, into a place of moral imagination. What's the worst she could do in response to that? What is the best she could do? I've invited people, Roddy and I have invited people to color, because some people, that's a place that brings them there. We are going to post some of the things they colored, as well as some blank coloring sheets, if that helps you enter into the land of make-believe. I know that when I was a child and I was learning about the moral imagination, and I'd sit there in church and my mind would wander and I would color and doodle all over my order of service. So you might want to doodle. You might want to just stare out the window, because let's face it, that's what most of us do in church. That's the way we like our sanctuary. We miss it. But I bet you have windows wherever you are. Stare out that window and enter into that awkward place. I invite you to hold our social realities of the day into this space of reflection, meditation, and the land of make-believe. Asking yourself, what's the best I can do right now? What's the worst? Don't worry. You don't have to tell anyone what you're thinking.
I'd like to invite you to join me in singing There Is More Love Somewhere. This beloved song has very simple lyrics. They are available in the chat or on our worship portal. There is more love somewhere. I'm going to keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. I'll suggest love, peace, and hope, and love for our 4 verses, but if you find a different song, different word that touches your heart this morning, you are more than welcome to you choose that word. There is more love. So there's more love. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. Hope. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more love. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere.
Good morning, friends. Times like these, and physical distancing, remind me of when I first started activism. I had just come out as being queer and did not have the strength or courage or will to even venture in to being a public advocate yet. I started my work online and eventually was able to move into the public sphere, into the areas that we know now is activism, into the streets, protesting, rallies, and fighting for existence. But due to COVID-19, we are seeing a new form of activism. We are seeing the form of activism that I grew up with, that I started in. I'm constantly reminded of my roots in activism. I am sitting in front of a computer, still fighting the norms, still challenging everything that people are saying, and still advocating, whether I'm in the streets or not. What's different, though, is that all the advocates across the road right now are doing the exact same thing. We are not rallying. We are not gathering in person, but we are gathering more and more. We are advocating. We've seen spikes in the amount of work that is being done online. Recently, I had the opportunity and the honor of being on a webinar put on by the UA's Side with Love campaign, where they talked about ways that we are resisting, ways that we are showing resistance, and all of the ways that our faith calls us to resist all forms of social injustice. Just some of the people that were on that call were the Dr. Charlene, who is the senior advisor for the Black Pack. She talked about how the pandemic is seeing higher levels of surveillance in military areas. She encouraged us to continue the fight, to work for justice, and to not give up. Someone on the call talked about detention on the Detention Watch Network and talked about how this time is so hard for immigrants, so hard for those who might be undocumented. ICE raids are still going on in this time, which is even more concerning because we know that people are at home and the ICE officers are taking advantage of the situation. Someone else on the call was the Reverend Susan Fast, who helps out with Equal Access, a group within our faith that works with disability injustices and strives for disability justice. We all have inherent worth and dignity, and that is what this group fights to say. Someone else on the call was the Reverend Michael Crump, the UU LGBTQ and multicultural minister. They are doing so much work. Our position as a working congregation comes out of this. We are seeing congregations who online are being welcoming to all people. And it's because of the work that Reverend Michael Crump and other UU ministers and congregations across the country do that side with love, that show that all people are connected. I will be sharing this email out with everyone with the links and resources and ways to get involved. It'll be posted on our Facebook page, and I'll get it out in the newsletter to come. In this time, I can't help but to wonder what social justice would be like now if we didn't have technology and the resources and ways to engage. I can't help but to wonder what we would do if COVID-19 had hit during the time of the Civil Rights Campaign. How we would have engaged and continued the fights that were so important to the lives of so many people. What if Stonewall had been done through Zoom meetings? How would everything be radically different? But in these times, we do have outreach. We do have Zoom meetings and social media. We have Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and so many ways to connect with each other, to keep the work of justice alive, and to continue showing that everyone has an inherent worth and dignity. We aren't silent. We've never been a silent faith, and we never will be. And that's the point. We have to continue the work. And I feel like these times are making us do it even more than we have in the past. Friends, thank you for being a church dedicated to justice. Thank you for carrying the torch and the flame for those who cannot. Keep up the work, keep the faith, and above all else, when this time of physical distancing ends, join me back in the streets as we demand social justice and social change, as we are the voice for all of those who have not found their voice themselves or who cannot speak for themselves. May it be so. Blessed be, and amen.
Our closing song is number 1020 in our turquoise hymnal, Wo Ya Ya. This song was written in the early 1970s and comes to us from South Africa. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know with you. And we will get there, heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, but the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will. And we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 Oh yeah, yeah.
Please join me in the words of our chalice extinguishing. We are stringless as flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I'd like to close with these words by Michael A. Schuler. We have reached the end of this time for the gathering of memory and for letting the imagination play with future possibilities. We have enjoyed magic moments and edified each other. Shall it be concluded then? Or will this adventure, now commenced, continue? Our separate paths converging, meeting, merging in the ending, unending quest for love more perfect, the joyous struggle for meaning more sufficient, and life more abundant. Is this ending to be an ending, or merely prelude to new, more glorious beginnings? I pose the question. In your hearts lie the answer. This service is over. Let our service begin again, renewed.